Good morning, writers. Let's get started by filling out our writing learning intentions. Don't forget to write today's date. And then today as a writer, I am working on considering setting to create the mood. Writers often think deeply about the setting that they use in their stories. They know that the setting can really shape the sequence of events in a text. Let's take a look at how that happens in the story Stray by Cynthia Ryland. Remember that in this story, at the beginning, Doris was allowed to keep the dog because it was too snowy and they weren't able to take him to the pound. But here, it says, but on Saturday, 9 days after the dog had arrived, the sun was shining and the roads were plowed. Mr. Lacey opened up the trunk of his car and came into the house. So here, even though we generally think of sun shining as something good and something happy, in this case it really isn't. In this case, the snow clearing means that the roads are clear and Doris's father can bring the stray puppy to the shelter. And then a little bit further on in the story, the author shows right here, outside, she heard the trunk of the car slam shut, one of the doors open and close, the old engine cough and choke and finally start up. This part, too, really kind of paints that or sets that mood of the story. It really helps the reader to further understand Doris's sadness at this time. Here are a couple of obvious things that writers might put into their stories to help create the mood. I want you to think about a storm, pouring rain, or dark clouds. What kind of mood would that create? And then sun shining brightly and birds chirping. Turn and talk to your partner about these two things. Lee said something like a storm, pouring rain, or dark clouds might create a sad or depressed mood, and sun shining brightly or birds chirping may have created a happy mood in a story. As writers think about considering setting to create their mood, they ask themselves, how can I match the setting to the mood or tone of a scene? And how might I hold on to the character's feelings and bring out the setting to emphasize those feelings? So writers, let me show you how I think about adding setting to affect the mood in my story. Here's a new part of the story. This is where Sam and Becca are both swinging, and Sam is deciding if she wants to jump off or not. So let's see, it says, Sam is such a baby, Becca thought to herself. So, are you going to do it, or what? She asked as she rolled her eyes. Sam could feel the butterflies flying around in her stomach, still unsure that she was making a good choice. All right, fine, here I go, she yelled as her body left the swing, and she soared through the air. Instead of the graceful landing that Becca made, Sam landed forcefully on the ground, twisting her ankle as she did. A searing pain shot through her ankle and tears began streaming down her face. Ow! So I thought about these questions. How can I match the setting to the mood or tone of a scene? And how might I hold on to the character's feelings and bring out the setting to emphasize those feelings? So here, I was thinking of really trying to match it to what's going to happen. And I said here, after, Sam could feel the butterflies flying around in her stomach, still unsure that she was making a good choice. At that very moment, the sun, that was just shining so brightly, disappeared behind a dark cloud that seemed to come out of nowhere. All right, fine, here I go, she yelled as her body left the swing and she soared through the air. I decided to use the weather and change the setting here to make it cloudy to kind of foreshadow or show that something bad is going to happen here. Things definitely aren't going to be happy as Sam lands and gets hurt after she jumps off the swing. This is just one spot in my story where I went back and added setting. I definitely, now that I added this part, would want to make sure I went back and found other parts where it would make sense to add setting to really help set the mood or tone of my scene and my story. So today, writers, your job is to think about how writers consider setting Think about these questions as you go back and reread your draft, and then work to make some big revisions to your writing. Work hard and make it a great day.